This is the pH scale. 0 on the left is very, very acidic with a lot of hydrogen ion or protons. 14 on the right is very, very basic with lots of hydroxide ion. Neutral in the middle is 7. Pure water is neutral. So let's look at some of these substances. Hydrochloric acid is extremely acidic. Foods are acidic, are slightly acidic. Household cleaners, like bleach and ammonia, are basic. Bases are slippery. Acids are tart, such as vinegar or pickles. Blood has a range from 7.35 to 7.45, which is slightly basic. Outside of this range, cells will be damaged. If it's a condition below 7.35, it is a condition of acidosis. Above 7.45 is alkalosis. Alkaline means basic. And you can see that either above or below that range causes problems for the human condition. An acid is anything that dissolves, that dissociates in solution, releasing hydrogen ions. Here we have hydrochloric acid, which is a very strong acid in our stomach. It is a strong acid because when in water, it completely dissociates to the hydrogen ion and the chloride ion. Acids lower pH, they release hydrogen ions or protons, so they may be called proton donors. Bases remove hydrogen ions or act as a proton acceptor. You may have heard of sodium hydroxide. It is a very strong base because in water it will completely dissociate to its sodium ions and hydroxide ions. Because of the importance of the pH in the human body, we have buffers in the blood. Buffers are compounds that stabilize the pH of a solution. So they stabilize by either neutralizing any acid or neutralizing any base that's added to the solution. So buffer systems, and our blood has different buffer systems, help maintain the pH within a very normal limit. That's all we need to know about buffer systems at this point. Which of the following is likely to be the pH of ammonia? Well, ammonia is a cleaning product, and those are bases, and therefore 11 is the correct answer. Which of the following is most likely to be the pH of a mixture of acid and water? Three. Water is neutral, and adding acid to it will make it acidic water. Nutrients are what we eat. They may be macronutrients, that is, we eat them in large quantities, or micronutrients, but everything that we eat will be converted to our body. Remember, you are what you eat, and it's absolutely true. Metabolites are the molecules that can be broken down or produced inside our body. Nutrients are essential metabolites that we usually get from our diet. For example, there are some fatty acids that we must eat. So therefore we must have approximately a teaspoon of fat per day to get those essential fatty acids. There are also some essential amino acids that we cannot make, we must eat. Nutrients are either organic or inorganic. Organic means they contain carbon and hydrogen. Inorganic means they do not contain carbon and hydrogen. Organic compounds are held together by covalent bonds. Inorganic compounds are held together by ionic bonds. So you can see that the organic compounds are all those things that we eat. They are organic. They all contain carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. There are 4 categories of organic compounds: carbohydrates, lipids, proteins, and nucleic acids. Inorganic compounds are very simple. They are ionic compounds for the most part, such as salts, acids, and bases. but water is covalent, has covalent bonds, so it's not, all inorganic compounds are not ionic. But none of these compounds contain carbon and hydrogen. You see some trains here. You're going to think of your macromolecules as trains. Most of our macromolecules are built up of smaller subunits or boxcars, and we call those subunits or boxcars monomers. Mono means one, and mer means piece. So the boxcar could be all identical, or the boxcars can be different. And that's the way it is with our macromolecules. Sometimes the pieces are all identical, like with our carbohydrates, and sometimes they're all different, such as with our proteins. So the monomers, the pieces, may all be the same, as in this picture, or they may all be different. Here we're talking about the carbohydrate category, and carbohydrates are made up of monosaccharides, disaccharides, and polysaccharides. I think you recognize mono, di, and poly. And in this case, all of these monomers are identical. Here are some carbohydrate foods. You've probably heard of good carbs and bad carbs. Bad carbs raise your glycemic index. If you're hypoglycemic, you'd want to stay away from bad carbs and stick with more complex carbs that are slower to digest and release those sugars. So carbohydrates are eaten for energy. They consist of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. Look at that term, carbohydrate, carbon and water, CH2O. They're made of monosaccharides or simple sugars. Disaccharides are two monosaccharides joined together, or polysaccharides, such as starch. Our liver makes a polysaccharide from excess glucose. It makes glycogen. Glycogen is the storage form of glucose in our body. Our muscles, as well as our liver, make glycogen. The most important thing here is that carbohydrates they're made of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. They're organic, and it is our source of energy. Examples of monosaccharides are glucose and fructose. Examples of disaccharides are sucrose and lactose. And examples of polysaccharides are glycogen, and we'll see cellulose in a minute. Glucose is our cellular fuel. It is in the blood, and it is how our cells obtain energy. Sucrose is table sugar. Lactose is milk sugar. Fructose is fruit sugar found in fruits and honey. And when you eat fructose, it's quickly converted in the body to glucose and then broken down just like glucose. Glycogen is a polysaccharide made entirely of glucose. You don't need to know these structural formulas at all. You don't need to be able to draw this. But this is an example of a simple sugar. Glucose, C6H12O6, is the most important metabolic fuel in the body, blood sugar. Fructose is similar. It's C6H12O6 as well, but it has a different arrangement. Disaccharides consist of two monosaccharides, two common ones. One is sucrose and one is lactose. So here we see the formation of sucrose from two monosaccharides, glucose and fructose. And this formation occurs through dehydration synthesis. Water is going to come out, and there's that water that's come out. We produce water as we combine these two monosaccharides to produce a disaccharide. If you're going in the opposite direction, water breakdown or hydrolysis, we would add water to break it down. So sucrose with water and of course an enzyme will break down into glucose and fructose. Sucrose is table sugar, so very quickly in the body it will form glucose, And the fructose that's formed is converted to glucose, so it's like 2 glucoses for every sucrose. Polysaccharides are complex carbs formed from many saccharides. The most important examples are starch, glycogen, and cellulose. Plants make starch, and we eat that for energy. Glycogen is animals make starch. It's kind of like an animal starch. I shouldn't say animals make starch. Plants make starch. Animals make glycogen, and it's the storage form of glucose in the liver and in our muscle cells. Cellulose is found in plants, and so if you look out the window, you'll see a lot of green matter out there. It's all plant cells made up of cellulose. It's the most abundant carbohydrate on the planet. And we eat cellulose, but we don't get energy from it. We get what we call fiber. It is good for our large intestines. It maintains colon health. So humans have evolved to require certain amounts of cellulose in the diet, even though we don't get energy from it. We do get vitamins and minerals. Here's glycogen, a polysaccharide made up of repetitive glucose units. It's made in the liver and in muscles. Which of the following is the polysaccharide stored in human liver cells? Glycogen. Which of the following is a storage product in animals? Glycogen as well. Which of the following makes up the cell walls in plants? Cellulose. Which of the following is a monosaccharide? Glucose. Which of the following is a storage product in plants? Starch.